Spencer Rattler is leading the way in the New Orleans Saints quarterback competition, and despite a recent push by Jake Haener, his biggest competition by the numbers is still Tyler Shough. We got all that and a little bit of land yap for you on today's episode of Locked On Saints.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? I am your host, your friend Ross Jackson, New Orleans native, your New Orleans Saints expert and credentialed member of the media covering those New Orleans Saints as a Saints beat writer over at LouisianaSports.net. The New Orleans Saints upcoming new run game is not only going to be the heartbeat of its offense, it's going to be a lot of fun too. We'll break that down. We'll also take a look at the Saints' defensive improvements and why they're standing out under Brandon Staley. And we're going to kick everything off with the New Orleans Saints quarterback battle by the numbers. Despite a recent push by Jake Haener, Tyler Shough still seems like the biggest competition for frontrunner Spencer Rattler. We got all that coming up for you on today's show. We appreciate you very much, whether it's your first time or your next time being here with us. This time, making us your first listen and being an everydayer here on the show, which is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener are all involved in this quarterback competition. They're all getting first team reps. Spencer Rattler is the only one that hasn't seen any third team reps. He is very clearly, Spencer Rattler, in the lead right now when it comes to this quarterback competition. And he's got a good chance to stay there as well, although, you know how this goes, right? There's a lot of time left here as things go. So we're not calling a winner right now. No one should be. Certainly the New Orleans Saints shouldn't be. But right now, Spencer Rattler feels very comfortably in the lead when it comes to this quarterback competition. And despite a recent push from Jake Haener, who's seen more first-team reps, who got the hurry-up drills at the end of walkthroughs, and then also got the hurry-up drill along with first-team reps in the second padded practice when they went into that 2-minute drill work, end of half, 2-minute drill. He ends up getting all those. Despite all of that, it still very much feels like Tyler Shough, as I go through and I rechart all of the numbers and all of the team reps and 7-on-7 reps, it still feels like Tyler Shough is still the biggest competition for Spencer Rattler. So I want to break down why I believe that is. We're going to do it by using the numbers, not opinions. We're just going to use numbers, facts, as we look at all this. So here's what I did. I went through me and my crack research team and interns. My crack research team, which consists of me and my intern, who is me. We all sat down at a table together and we broke it all down. So here's what I did. I went through and I recharted every single team rep and 7-on-7 rep for this team. Here's what I took out. Or for these quarterbacks, I took out every rehuddle, every penalty, and I removed any of the developmental drills that we got the opportunity to see. So those developmental drills are when practice is over, the young guys stay out, the vets start getting ready to transition into the rest of their day, and then they get some extra reps in, 7, 8 reps, whatever. So I took all that out. No rehuddles, no penalties, no developmental reps, just team drills, 7-on-7 drills. And here are the numbers of reps that I have. Now remember, reps simply means snaps, not necessarily passing attempts, but it could be run plays, passing plays, what have you. And here are the way that the numbers break out. Spencer Rattler with 111 reps. Tyler Shough with 94 reps. Jake Haener with 90 reps. I just realized something as I was adding up all those numbers. That is a lot of reps for 6 practices, right? Because I didn't include the walkthrough on Tuesday either. That's 295 reps that I have charted. That's a lot of work. Kellen Moore is getting a lot of work done with these guys. But as you'll notice, the order here is still Spencer Rattler with 111, Tyler Shough with 94, Jake Haener with 90. So 90, 94, that's tight. That's still pretty tight between those two. But Shough still granted more opportunities. There's one other thing to consider in all of this as well. Shough has had days where he's had 9 reps, 13 reps, 15 reps. So not a ton of opportunity always consistently going to Tyler Shough, yet he's still kind of 4 reps ahead. The other thing to keep in mind is that when we talk about reps, these team drills and these 7-on-7 drills, these are all pre-scripted. Here's your 4 reps that you're going to get in this series. Here's the down and distance for that. You're going to get it from this yard line, this yard line, this yard line, and this yard line. And here are the plays that we're running. It's all pre-scripted, right? You're going to get 4 here, then he's going to get 4, then he's going to get 4, then we're going to come back, we're going to do 7 on 7s, you're going to get 4, he's going to get 4, he's going to get 4. But the one place where that set number goes out the window is when they do things like simulated drills. And so when they do, or when they did on Wednesday, the simulated 2-minute drill at the end of the half, there's no pre-scripting for that. That could be, you get a minute 40 on the clock. If that takes you 15 plays to wrap up, you get 15 plays to wrap that up, right? And so that only applies, though, to Spencer Rattler's number and Jake Haener's number. And Jake Haener had a longer play-wise 2-minute drill than Spencer Rattler did, who went like 3 or 4 and had a couple of runs in there as well. And so despite that, the one place where there's not really control over the number of snaps that are happening, going to everybody but Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough still second in the number of reps given. So here I am hooing and hawing about, the number of reps that Tyler Shough's not getting and all these other things. And he's sitting comfortably at second. Let's go now to attempts and completions. Spencer Rattler, 52 of 71. He's completed 73.2% of his passes so far. Tyler Shough, 30 of 50. That's 60% of his passes so far. And then Jake Haener, 40 of 56, 71.4% of his passes so far. So Rattler in the lead there. Jake Haener at second place there, and then Tyler Shough in last place there. And I think for Tyler Shough, one of the things to remember is that there's been a lot of risk aversion. And so I think that once, and this is, again, that thing that Lance Moore pointed out during one of our recent squad shows, that like once the idea of what's open starts to click, what's open in the NFL starts to click for Tyler Shough versus what's open in college, that maybe there'll be, more of those opportunities for those wideouts to go out there and make plays. Touchdowns. I got Spencer Rattler with 7 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. I've got Tyler Shough with 3 passing touchdowns, and I've got Jake Haener with 4 passing touchdowns as well. Now, remember, and then I also have Spencer Rattler with 3 interceptions, and then none for Shough and none for Haener. Haener threw an interception to Julian Blackmon in a 7-on-7 rep, but that was in developmental drills, technically after practice when they moved the practice back inside. So that removes his interception. If we had the interception still counting, then he would be 43 of 63 with an interception and 4 touchdowns. But instead, we removed those reps. And so he is, in that case, 40 of 57, not 40 of 56. Drops his percentage, by the way, to 70.1% on those, 70.2% on his completion. So sorry, doing a little math on the fly there because I realized I took 1 extra rep out that I wasn't supposed to. So Rattler still getting the most opportunities. Shough getting the second most opportunities, Haener getting the fewest amount of opportunities so far. But if we looked at first team, second team, third team, Tyler Shough, one of the guys that's gotten kind of more of the first, second, and third team reps all together. Haener has gotten a little bit more of the first and third team reps, and then Rattler has gotten only first and second team reps. So I think everything indicates that Spencer Rattler's the guy right now when it comes to who is the leader in the clubhouse. Jake Haener right now is making a push. Kellen Moore, this New Orleans Saints offensive staff, clearly believes that Jake Haener's got something in his game and they want to see what it is. But you're still seeing them pay a lot of attention to Tyler Shough in the process. The thing that becomes really interesting is that now that you have 295, 296, because that now puts Haener at, no, he's still at 96. So yeah, 90. So it's 295 reps still over the course of all this. Can you still continue to get that amount of volume so that you can have a 3-man QB battle, or do you need to start to cull it to 2? And when does that switch flip if that ends up being the case? So right now, it still very much feels like this is comfortably in Spencer Rattler's hands, but Tyler Shough, Jake Haener both making pushes. And it feels like Tyler Shough is still very much getting the attention and opportunity that he needs to get. So that changes a little bit of the criticism that I've had so far here over the course of training camp after going back and kind of recharting all this. Because I was like, certainly I'm going crazy. Like certainly something here I'm missing. And I was. Right now, it feels like Tyler Shough's still getting the second most opportunities in those 7-on-7 and team drills. So now we'll see how that continues to translate as we move forward. This is the way I'm going to be tracking this as we continue to move forward. And I'll make sure you're updated the whole way through. All right, so we've done enough quarterback talk. Now let's go over to the other side of the ball, the guys that the quarterbacks are trying to beat. And that defense is not making things easy on those guys. And it all starts with Brandon Staley. Let's get to that next as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Saints is brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy, and I absolutely love what they've got going on right now. Their new energy shot, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion, one of your favorite golf drinks, but without the alcohol, is now available for you in a quick and easy energizing shot. All that bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor that you love. I think this is awesome. I absolutely love this. I already love 5 Hour Energy, but getting it in the transfusion flavor, oh, it's just going to make the golf course even more fun the next time that I make it out there. So if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use the promo code LOCKEDONGolf and you'll receive 20% off of your order. This offer is valid only until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. And this code is not good for subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with your friends or you're trying to turn 18 holes of golf into 36, get the energizing boost that you need to power through. Order the transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shot today. All right, family, the New Orleans Saints quarterbacks are, of course, the headline of everything going on around New Orleans Saints training camp. But I'll tell you what, this defense and what Brandon Staley's got these guys doing and the way that they pester these quarterbacks, all told as well, has been really, really fun to watch. And I think it's been kind of a breath of fresh air. Like, we watched the Dennis Allen defense for so long in New Orleans that you kind of begin to forget about how different things can be. I mean, you think about the Sean Payton era, right? The Sean Payton era, 2006 to 2021. There were times to where it felt like the offense didn't really work the way that they wanted it to work, right? 2014, 15, and 16, of course, you had some incredible offensive seasons, but particularly after that Sean Payton era, when they tried to continue Sean Payton football with Pete Carmichael, it just didn't feel like it worked. And then all of a sudden things felt so like archaic and anachronistic and kind of out of date. And then so the Saints went into the modern pool and they went after Clint Kubiak and then that wide zone offense. Now they're going the Kellen Moore route. And so we watched that happen with the offense. And now it kind of feels like that's what's happening on defense. But instead of New Orleans going the route of trying to maintain the Dennis Allen system and just have somebody else do it, they were able to quickly change things over and quite dramatically at that. I mean, think about it. Everything has changed for just about everyone, right? The defensive line, defensive interior, different. You got 3 guys instead of 2 guys. You got guys that are going to be, playing sort of this 1.5 gap. You got guys that are going to be kind of playing these attacking roles. And you've got guys that are now moving from defensive tackles to defensive ends in that 3-man interior. Then you have edge rushers that are moving from being the defensive ends that are sometimes playing those like 5-tech, 4-eye kind of inside the tackle, run stopping kind of persuasions. And then now all of a sudden they're lining up at wide 9, which is the technique that's all the way outside of where there would be a tight end. So things change for those guys. Off-ball linebackers, still kind of off-ball linebackers, but now the defense moves from being sort of quarterbacked by the linebackers in the middle of the field to being quarterbacked by the safeties in the backfield. So that's a big change for the linebackers. Then you go from beyond that to, corners that are going from playing press man that are now playing kind of zone match and vision match. So they're going from trying to jam a player or get their hands on a player at the line of scrimmage before they run routes to sitting back and then pattern matching, which is literally watching the way that receivers are running routes off of the line of scrimmage and then based on a set of rules reacting to that. And not necessarily having to get their hands on a player, turn their back to the quarterback and follow that player wherever they go, which is the essential vantage point of or execution of man coverage. They now get to play with vision, meaning they get to keep their eyes in the backfield on the quarterback and play more zone defense, which allows them to be able to see where the quarterback's going, diagnose where the quarterback might want to go, and then try to go and make a play on the football in that case. And so now you're seeing a little bit of that get added to this defense. You think about the safeties who now go from, not necessarily making a lot of calls to making the calls. Like Justin Reed becomes the quarterback of the defense in this system. He can send a linebacker to blitz. He can send a corner to blitz. He can shift things based upon what he's seeing and change things based upon what he's seeing from the offense and his knowledge of what the offense likes to do out of certain pre-snap looks and formations and deployments and personnel groupings and all these other pieces. Even just what the literal personnel is. So not how many wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends are out there, but Is there a tight end that's a signifier for something? Because when that tight end's on the field, 80% of the time, that team likes to run the football or pass the football, whatever that might be. Justin Reid's got to know all that stuff. Now, Justin Reid's also an NFL chess champion, really, really smart guy, Stanford guy, all that. So obviously that goes a really long way as well. And so you get these guys, like everything is different for everybody on this defense in some shape, form, or fashion. And so the Saints completely changed the approach from what they tried to do over on offense, which was maintain, keep cohesion, to doing what they did last year, which is throw it all out and try something new. And that is one of the reasons why I think it's okay to feel good about what the Saints have done this offseason, is that, hey, at least they're trying something different. Will it work? I don't know. We said this before. I said this in my walk into the car video after practice when I was walking through the rain. I was like, look, Kellen Moore, he's going to have a bag. Will he be in the bag? I don't know, but he'll have a bag. Same thing goes for Brandon Staley. He'll have a bag. Justin Reid will have a bag. Every one of those players will have a bag. Are they in their bag? That's going to be the big question. And so it's just so interesting watching the way that this defense has changed and how each one of these changes can also bring glimpses of improvement. It doesn't feel uncomfortable for anybody. Chase Young seems so energized with his role, knowing that he's the tone setter on defense. You got Carl Granderson out here talking about how he's slim and trim like a bicycle rim and ready to go, and how he's playing at 270 pounds. You got going back to his high school outside linebacker days. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry dropping weight, getting out there, feeling really good, playing in a defense that's very similar to what it is that the defense that he got drafted out of, the Alabama defense, asked him to do. So a lot of similarities there. Alontae Taylor moving from just being a slot cornerback to playing that star role where he's going to be asked to play a lot and do a lot of different things, rush the passer, all this other stuff. Like, everybody's game just changed. And a lot of it feels like it will put these players in position to improve, even down to the angles, right? Think about the angles for Bryan Bresee. Bryan Bresee, who has struggled in the run game always. I mean, that was his evaluation in college as well. A guy that would typically play that 3-tech role where he's lining up in between guard and tackle, but then he's having to shoot inside. So he's trying to get to the A gap between the center and the guard. Well, he's getting mixed up and double teamed by guards and centers in those situations. Now, all of a sudden, he becomes an end where he's not necessarily lining up outside the tackle or anything like that. But now, because of how wide the defensive ends are, that tackle's got to get a wide set. So now, all of a sudden, Bryan Bresee can work to the outside shoulder of the guard or to the inside shoulder of the guard, not have to worry about being double teamed on an ace block by the center. An ace block is a center and guard blocking at the same time, because that center is eaten up by Devon Godshaw or Colin Saunders or Christian Boyd or Vernon Broughton, whoever might be playing nose tackle. And so now all of a sudden he gets to be more active in earning and winning one-on-ones, both in the pass rush and in the run game, which could help him improve in the run game. Like, it's those little things that have these massive ripple effects just because of where players are being asked to now line up in Brandon Staley's defense, where you could see a pathway for improvement, a pathway for progress. Doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, but the pathways are opening because of what Brandon Staley is doing. So this defense has been a lot of fun to watch so far, and a lot of it is simply because of what Brandon Staley is both asking and granting the freedom for his defense to do. Coming up next, the New Orleans Saints run game has also been a lot of fun, and that's good because it's going to be the heartbeat of this team in 2025. We got that coming up for you next as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Saints is brought to you by friends over at Monarch Money. You ever wish that managing your money was a little bit easier? I told you about that crack research team and that intern that I have to pay, me. Thank goodness I don't actually have to pay those people because it's just me. But if I did, Monarch Money would be super helpful because it's not just tracking my account, my savings, my budgeting, my goals. It's also tracking my expenses as well. I mean, there's a ton for this. That's been absolutely awesome. My favorite thing about Monarch Money is that it's allowed me to be able to get rid of all of the other apps that I either lost track of or had to need to try to keep track of in order to be able to manage everything, because it's all in one place. So I got that in my banking app and I'm Gucci. I absolutely love Monarch Money. I think you can too, whether you're managing your personal accounts, business accounts, collaborating with others to make all of it a lot easier. So take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. The defense isn't the only thing that's been really fun to watch about the New Orleans Saints so far here throughout training camp, but so is what I believe will be the identity of this offense. It's run game, which has been a lot of fun to watch. We've talked to all 5 starting New Orleans Saints offensive linemen at this time, which, by the way, still have not changed. It was a huge topic back in OTAs and minicamp. It's kind of fallen away here in training camp because just what we expected is exactly what's happened. Kelvin Banks Jr. at left tackle. We saw Trevor Penning. We continue to see Trevor Penning improving at left guard, getting comfortable there. Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz don't move, center, right guard, respectively. And then Taliesin Fuanga is having a great time playing next to his buddy Cesar Ruiz at right tackle now over on that right side of the offensive line. All 5 of these guys have talked about how fun the scheme is, and particularly the run game, with Kellen Moore. Now, you might be saying, well, fun doesn't matter. Who cares about fun? It's football, right? Like, that's the thing. But hey, like, it's still a game, and it should be fun. And I do think that these guys having the opportunity to go out there and have fun creates a little bit of, well, chemistry, first of all, but it also creates a little bit of, like, comfort in executing the scheme. And then with comfort breeds confidence. And with that confidence comes a little bit of more fun. The reason why I say that is because Taliesin Fuanga talking about how he and Cesar Ruiz, sometimes they'll get, when they break open a big play or something like that, they'll get out there and they'll just be laughing at the defensive line. Like, these offensive line, like the offensive line and defensive line rivalry feels like it's building. And I think that that's a really good thing because these guys are all making each other better, right? Like, in order for this team to be successful long-term with its roster as currently constructed, Taliesin Fuanga as well as Kelvin Banks Jr., those are guys that are going to have to perform, and those are guys that are going to have to hit, right? Those are going to have to be draft hits for New Orleans. And Fuanga's already halfway there, right? He was great at left tackle. He was really solid outside of maybe like a middle stretch of 3 games last year against Denver, and then in either game on the opposite side of that, which was what, Tampa and the Chargers? I think I nailed that, actually. Minus the clear uncertainty in my voice. Pretty solid over at left tackle. Now he goes back to right tackle where he's comfortable. He's playing next to his buddy Cesar Ruiz. I think all that will help this team. But I do think that a big part of why they're having so much fun with this run scheme is because it's just physical. Like, this New Orleans Saints run scheme is kind of right now in terms of what's being installed, which is a lot of gap runs, downhill runs, things like that, which is a lot of what's in here. Like, there's still going to be some of the outside zone run game, still some of the outside rushes, things like that. You'll still see all that. And you're also going to see more from the run game. Well, actually, I'll get to that in a moment. So, like, but focused on that, the downhill run game, the man, the gap schemes, all that kind of stuff, it literally just asks you to put, as Trevor Penning said, a hat on the hat and be bigger, stronger, faster, and want it more than the guy in front of you. And it's just got to be that. It's just that simple. Like, your task right now as a New Orleans Saints offensive line in the run game, in terms of what's being installed right now, in this downhill man gap scheme, is to just be better than the player in front of you. Like, that's your challenge. Your challenge is to go out there and dominate the player that's on the opposite side of you. And when you have guys that have the temperament of Trevor Penning, when you have guys that have the experience and the strength of Eric McCoy, when you have guys that have the finesse, athleticism of Cesar Ruiz, and then you look at Taliesin Fuanga as well as Kelvin Banks Jr., who each are trying to show you that they have some of each of those qualities themselves. You can certainly pick out the power in Kelvin Banks Jr. There's no doubt about that. You can pick out the athleticism and power of a Taliesin Fuanga as well. Now you get those guys going and buying into that, and then all of a sudden this run game becomes really impactful and really fun. And we've already seen it. Like, as the Saints have put pads on, they've been installing more and more of the run game. Early on, there were things that were happening with the run game, but the install really started with the downhill gap schemes just a couple of days ago when the Saints put on pads for the first time on Monday, and then it furthered again on Wednesday. And you remember that the touchdown that was scored in Spencer Rattler's 2-minute drill came from a 35-yard run by Velus Jones Jr., where he had a massive hole to run through because the offensive line simply dominated. Guys like Trevor Penning blocking guys yards downfield and getting super physical, all of those things. We're seeing the run game benefit from the fact that the Saints have invested in having a powerful offensive line and, of course, have put together a scheme that benefits a powerful offensive line. Now, they're going to have to execute it once game day starts and the lights are on, all those other things. But I do think that the fun that they're having with it is something that will help to kind of bridge that gap going from training camp into the preseason and then into implementing and executing in the regular season. The other thing that I was going to mention earlier that I was like, oh, I'll come back to that, is my final point around the run game and how fun it can be, is that it's not just the running backs. The ability to be able to use the short passing game as an extension of the run game and utilizing screens, that's huge. The ability to be able to utilize RPOs as a part of your run game and then build off of your run game, particularly downhill runs, with your play action game has already benefited and created some of the bigger passing plays in this practice and training camp so far. So that's a big part of it. The other thing is the quarterbacks contributing. We saw a big 20-plus yard run or 20-ish yard run from Spencer Rattler on a zone read keeper. Similar play with Tyler Shough, who just barely got it like a little left pinky out of bounds, left pinky toe out of bounds. And then we saw the big 15-yard scramble by Spencer Rattler on a 3rd and 13 that extended that 2-minute drive and allowed for that Velus Jones Jr. rushing touchdown that ended it all. So the run game is already creating some wins for this New Orleans Saints offense. So just wanted to highlight a little bit of that. Hey, don't forget, you can always catch Locked On Saints every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m., 5 p.m. as well, over at Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment, along with our friends over at Locked On Pelicans, Locked On LSU, and Locked On SEC. We'll be back for our Saints Squad show, 9 p.m. Central Time tonight. Make sure you come through for that live. We appreciate you very much, as always. Make it as a party day part of your routine for saying yes to me on the show. If you see me, please say hi. And if you need anything else around your New Orleans Saints in between these episodes, make sure you follow me on your favorite social media at Ross Jackson, N-O-L-A. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing, how you living. Let me know how you're momming them. And trust Who Dat Nation, I'll holla at you.